I used to believe that in order to heal my own inner child, what I had to do is I had to go back into my past. I had to recreate the experience in like a meditation. I had to feel the pain of it so that I could finally feel it to heal it. And I believed that that was the only way for me to actually heal the current patterns in my life, was to go back to heal that inner child part of myself. Now, what I've learned recently is something that is much more powerful, something that is much more potent, and something that really allows you to let go of the story, that allows you to let go of all of the pain and the trauma and the heaviness of the past, so that you can finally give yourself permission to be a new version of yourself. Now, this is something that I've learned as of recently also because something happened in my life where I realized the power over our interpretation of the past, how as we change our interpretation of the past now in the present moment, we change the potential futures we experience, but also people respond to us in a very different way once we go through that. For example, I've noticed this as when people have a grievance or a anger towards a parent, for example, towards a mom or a dad, it is very common that you see that person may have the same form of energy towards someone else in their life that isn't their parent, but that represents that energy. For example, someone may have problems where they were angry at their dad growing up, so they find themselves now angry at their boyfriend, angry at their husband, or angry at someone that represents that energy to them. And there's like this belief, there's this energy that is residual from the past that's being projected on other people in their life because there's this subconscious energy that is there. Now, what I realized in my own life is for a long time, I would have this really heavy belief that my childhood was so painful because of some of the things I went through. And I would feel it as, in some ways, the big transformation for me happened in 2012 when I went through my awakening, because I realized that the pain I went through actually led to my spiritual awakening. And when I realized that, there was almost this forgiveness that happened with my ex-stepmom that allowed me to, in a way, shift that energy. I felt so much lighter. It changed so many aspects of my life when I did that. But even now, years later, here I am, and I had something happen to me recently. I had a video that came out about it recently, where I talked about how my mom passed away. And my mom, who is not my ex-stepmom, very different person, I had an amazing mom that loved me, my brother, and my family dearly. And there were certain aspects, though, because my mom went through so much trauma when she was a kid, and when I was a baby, my mom's dad died. And I used to always kind of talk about how there was this, I talked about how like my mom was going through so much that I felt like emotionally neglected or emotionally abandoned, even though that wasn't the intention of my mom. But what's very interesting about this perspective is now that my mom has passed, I realized that when I looked to the past of my mom and I saw, it was almost like as I was looking for these negative situations with my mom, I would find these things where I'm like, it would reaffirm this belief that like, oh look, there was this emotional abandonment that you felt. There was this, when your brother was born when you were 3, the attention got put towards him, and then you felt even more neglected. And I'm looking at all of that, and what I'm realizing is now that my mom has passed, one of the things I realize is all the good memories are actually coming back to me now. And it's like there's this energy where I'm really starting to connect to realize how amazing my mom actually was, how nurturing she actually was. She was so fearful when I was a baby that she was going to be a bad mom that she over-nurtured me in some ways. There were these stories that I had now that I would then focus on things in the past, looking for the trauma and looking for the stuff. And now that I'm focused on the positive aspects of my connection to my mom, who also had many, I realized, and once she passed, I realized that my sense of humor comes from my mom. My quirkiness, my mom's goofiness, my spirituality comes from my mom. There's so many positive characteristics that come from my mom that I realized after she passed that also I started looking at my past, I started seeing all these amazing things about my mom and mine's connection. And I started to feel grateful. And funny enough, now that I'm focused on that, what I'm realizing is that my relationship with people in general is so different now. it's like I don't feel the burden and the pressure of the past because I've reframed it and reconnected with it in a different way. And now I feel worthy. I feel whole. I feel much more connected. And even though my mom's passed, I feel like in a way she's a spiritual guide of mine. And because of that, I feel even more connected. I feel even more nurtured in an interesting way. So the interesting thing about this is what I've realized is look at these two different perspectives. What is the past if it's nothing more than an interpretation of a story we overlay it that then reaffirms the limitations in the present moment? So someone with daddy issues, for example, is like, oh yeah, I had these issues with my dad in the past, and then what happens is like, oh look, I have these problems with men now. So it's this thing, this burden, I have all this past experience that's affecting me now. But the belief in that, if the quantum field has all infinite possibilities within it in the present moment right now, what if every moment we remind ourselves of the traumatic childhood, we're taking ourselves back to it and picking up the energetic debris and bringing it back to this present moment right now? So in fact, every moment we're a new version of ourselves. This is the funny thing. Every moment you're a new you. Every moment you're a new you. Every moment the cells in your body are dying and being reborn, but we continue to tell ourselves the same story, and we continue to believe that we have the same limiting past, and therefore we experience a reality in the future that is equal to that. For a long time, I told myself a story. Oh, my mom and dad divorced when I was 5, and then my dad divorced when I was 15, and I have friends that have had their parents be together their entire life. And I thought, I'm at such a disadvantage because I've seen my dad get divorced twice, and I've seen my friends that have parents that are still together, and it's like, there's most likely, it's like, is that my tainted view on relationship or divorces because of that? But what I've realized is that's a story, and in the moment we're new every moment, I can literally rewrite my past through not only just this way I connect to the story about it, but literally, if every moment we're a new version of ourselves and every potential reality exists right here, right now, because that's what quantum physics is showing us, then there's also a version of me that has a completely different past than what I believe. And when you talk about the amazing teachings of Neville Goddard, for example, he talks about something called the revision technique. I have a YouTube video about this if you want to check it out. But the revision technique is also tied into quantum physics. He was a teacher from back in the early 1900s, and so many people have had very powerful experiences with Neville Goddard's teachings. But the revision technique is where what you do is you get into a meditative state. You remember something that happened for your past, and you change it. You change it. And then what you do is you reimagine it the way you would want it to be. And what happens is you do that once, twice, 3 or 4 times, and you start to literally connect to that part of your past in a different way, which then changes how you're existing right now in the present moment. You can revise the revision technique, revise your day before. How would you have liked it to go? And think about it. Your energetic field then has within it the combined energy of what you are visualizing and feeling, which then goes into who you are being right here, right now. Now take this even at a different level. What neuroscience is showing us is that every single time we remember something from the past, we take it out of our memory bank, we look at it, we change it, and then we put it back in the memory bank. We change it based on our interpretation of it, based on how we're feeling in the present moment right now. And then what we do is we take that and we put it back in our memory bank, reaffirming this huge, heavy past of who we are, and then it continues to have power over us in the present moment. So by the time you've thought of something, what neuroscience shows, you've thought of something 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times when you're ruminating over something, you've changed it so many times it's not even actually what happened. So if that's the case, then most of the things we think actually happened may have not even actually happened the way that we thought they did. They've done this in a show called Brain Games, I remember watching it, where an accident happened. They reenacted an accident, and then there were 5 or 10 people, and they got individual reports from every person about what happened. And every single person had a different viewpoint of what happened, and it was very simple. A car came, it hit some other car, but everyone had a different perspective. Like all the 10 people that got interviewed had a different perspective. It's like, wow, what is actually reality? What is actually happening? So knowing just that, what neuroscience shows us, that every time we look at our memories, we change them slightly, who's to even say, you could say, well, Aaron, that sounds like you're disillusioning yourself into believing in a past that didn't actually happen. What you believe happened didn't happen anyways, the way that it may have actually happened, because you have an interpretation and a story that overlays it. So what's the difference? So the thing and the reason I'm sharing this is in the quantum field, there is a version of you that had a different childhood than the version of you now. And what if you could go to certain points of your past and use the revision technique and to reimagine it in a different way, and then it no longer had the huge burden over you in the present moment right now? I've started to connect to the positive aspects of my childhood, and I feel like I have the positive aspects in my reality now, and people literally respond to me different. I can tell I have a more magnetic energy. I'm more sure of myself. I'm more confident within my own frame. I'm a stronger leader. I'm all of these things because I'm not looking to my past saying, oh, I wish I would have had this different. I wish I would have had this different. I had this huge, heavy burden of the past. You are a new version of yourself every moment. And the only thing keeping you tied to the past is your story and your belief about the heaviness of it and of all of these things. Instead of seeing the beauty in it or the amazing things that also may have come from it. Like the stepmom thing I talk about a lot on my channel, if you've been watching my videos. As painful as it was a great teacher because it helped me to become spiritually more aware and to be doing kind of what I'm doing now. So that perspective shifted a lot of that energy burden back in 2012. And then now that my mom passed, I'm really focusing on the positive aspects and feeling this even more powerful, nurturing connection from my mom now. And then because of that, whether it's a permission slip or whatnot, it's like I experience a different reality because I'm not tying to the past and not believing in a past that was so heavy and not believing that that heavy past has to take away from the present moment right now. Why not you as the one to break the pattern? Why do we have to keep telling the same ancestral story over and over and over and over again? It's like, well, my parents divorced and their parents divorced and there was an alcoholic on this side of the family and then this person's drinking a lot. It's like, oh, I must be drinking. No. Why not you to break the pattern? Because we came here to be a part of this time on the planet where I believe we came to wake up to shed the patterns. But there was also a parallel reality version of you that experienced the more amazing aspects of your childhood, that learned so many things. And once you begin connecting to this aspect of yourself, you begin to heal the energies in yourself right here, right now, and you begin to then experience a new future in the quantum field, new probabilities and possibilities because of the energy you have shifted within yourself right now. Every moment, you're a new you. And that's what's really shifted in me is the way I do my live events, the way I do things in the future with my teachings, I will not be saying, let's go into the past, let's look into the childhood, and let's just recreate the pain and then feel it, it's okay. No, not that we were even necessarily doing that before, but like that's the stereotypical way we teach in certain levels of healing. And I'm sure there's still value in it. I'm not saying it's not valuable. I have an inner child meditation that's helped a lot of people, and a lot of it is feeling and meeting the inner child inside of yourself's needs of feeling and loving that, which is a very positive thing. It's not just recreating the stress. However, what if you could go back and you could recreate a new relationship through that process I'm talking about to begin to feel like a new version of yourself right now by letting go of the heaviness of the past? And what if every moment you're a new you, and as you shift your frequency, you then shift the burden of all of the story of all of these things. Oh, my parents divorced, it means this is going to happen in the future for me, or I need to avoid marriage because of this. It's like, I'm realizing just how much we came here to shift those energies, and also how much it's just a story. It's one probable past that keeps being brought into the memory bank, recycled, and then put back in. What if we were to unwind it? Imagine unwinding your childhood, the negative aspects of it. And imagine taking that childhood. Imagine if you had it in your hand right now, the negative aspects of it. And imagine it going to black and white. And imagine letting it float off further and further away, knowing it's something that doesn't have to hold you back any longer. It's something that doesn't have to have the weight that it used to have. Realize that every moment you are a new you. You are a new you. You are a new you. And imagine that you are who you choose to be right now. And that in that present moment energy, you don't have to let the past hold you back any longer. You've literally cut the anchor of the past, and now you're able to move ahead with momentum. That's where the power really is in this process. Now, we're going to be doing a 21-day New You challenge where I'm going to be teaching how to connect to your own unconscious mind to be able to connect and use the revision technique. One of the workshops will be the revision technique. You're going to learn how to transcend social conditioning, how to feel it to heal it, how to nurture your own inner child, but not from a place of taking on the burden of the past, how you can really just become the vibration of the new you want to be. It starts on 1/11, so it starts on January 11th. If you want to join, go ahead and click the link in the description box below. Go to www.21daynewuchallenge.com. Go ahead and join there. And if you want to learn more about the revision technique and how this is such a powerful process for transforming your life from the inside out, go ahead and check out this video right here on revision.